What's up, everybody? I'm Marcus.
I'm Ryan.
And together, we are the Northwest Sports Fanatics. We're here today with our weekly NBA review, our power rankings, and also our NBA players of the week.
All right. So let's start it off here real quick. We'll go number 5, and I was really close to booting him out of the top 5, and it's hard for me to say this because it's the hometown team, but the Portland Trailblazers, I got to keep them there at number 5 for now. 26-9.
Great.
We are in a skid right now. They are playing bad. There's no question to that. You have lost 4 of the last 6. 3 of them to losing teams, especially obviously a rough loss to the Sixers at home. That kind of started it, and then obviously last night as well. So we'll have to see if they can bounce back. No excuses, though. Batum, he's got a broken finger right now, so obviously the gelling of the game isn't really what it should be. But they do play Orlando tonight, so it's a time for them to maybe bounce back. So I think they're really going to have to rely on LA to maybe get them back. And one key thing I wanted to mention, in about a week or two, they have a huge stretch of the season. It's going to be Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and OKC. 4 games and 5 nights on the road.
On the road.
So if we're already playing bad like this now, you better get it together, because I know LA will play good in Dallas because that's where he's from. But besides that game, it makes me nervous because if we go on a slide, obviously these other teams are going to creep up. Any key stats for the Portland Trailblazers right now?
Yeah, I have a couple of key stats for the Trailblazers. You mentioned the 4 of 6, the last, but 3 of them was the teams with losing records.
Yeah, that's
you can't do that when you're trying to be a upper echelon team in the NBA. Also, the injury with Batum.
Right.
So look for Will Barton, Darrell Wright, and C.J. McCollum.
Maybe C.J. McCollum can get some playing time. I'm not sure how fast he's going to get the opportunity to play, but he did suit up last night, sat on the bench, and we do play Orlando tonight, so maybe this would be an opportunity for him to get a few minutes out there.
One of those players going to have to step their game up. And for me, Blazers, what makes them tick is Robin Lopez. He's averaging 10 points and 8 rebounds on the season. What a great pickup by the Blazers.
And one key stat I want to throw out there, too, Damian Lillard broke the record for most points in a quarter, being Terry Porter last night. So even though we ended up with the loss last night, great effort by Lillard. Obviously we need the rest of the staff to step up. Obviously Batum and Matthews had a low night with only 9 points each. So hopefully they can get it together and we can rebound. And don't be so upset, Blazer fans. You had to expect this was going to happen. We're not going to sit at the top forever. So it's going to be one of those growing.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. So we will bounce back, and like I said, hopefully we can creep up on the top 5 power rankings. Let's go over to number 4.
Number 4.
And we're going to go to the OGs, the San Antonio Spurs.
The Spurs.
All right, their record is 27-8. You lost to the Knicks just recently, and that was the first time this year that the Spurs lost to a team with a losing record.
Wow.
Very impressive. I mean, especially when they're not playing all their starters the whole time. They're giving Duncan and Parker and Ginobili rest when they need it. The key stat for them, to me, is Thiago Splitter. He's like Chris Paul. They're out for 3 to 5 weeks, and that's a solid role player that they need in the rotation. But I still think that they'll be able to stay afloat because of the superstars and the great coaching that they have. Do you have any key stats for the Spurs this week?
Yeah, wow. Splitter, they just paid him a lot of money. He was a key piece to their rotation, and they lost DeJuan Blair.
Yeah, that was in the free agency. Yeah,
so that could have helped them out. A key stat for me, you mentioned it, the one loss. Versus the teams with losing records.
Right.
The good teams get it done.
Yeah.
For me, it's Danny Green.
Right.
I'm about to milk carton you, bro. 7 points, 38% from the 3-point range. Where's the Danny Green from the finals last year?
Yeah, it seems like I don't want to say it's fool's gold, but I mean he really got hot at the right time, but it still hasn't really carried over. And you could also say the same for Kawhi Leonard, because the rotation isn't really what it's going to be in the playoff run, so you don't really know how they're going to play the minutes of each player. But I think you do expect more from those 2 players if you want to be able to be the champ at the end of the day.
I wanted to see both of them take it to the next level. More Kawhi, because Kawhi is multifaceted, so he can do many things.
Right.
But Danny Green, you're a shooter.
Yeah, 3-point shooter.
You're supposed to score. This year was supposed to be the year you put it up to 12 to 14 points a game.
Right.
I mean, Manu is getting old. Parker's getting old. Duncan's not going to be there forever. They need your young studs to step up and play better ball. So I'm calling you out, Danny Green. That 7 points just ain't going to cut it, bro.
So shifting over, we're going to go to number 3, and this is the first time this year that we've mentioned this team in the top 5. proud to say, Golden State Warriors.
Wow,
right?
exciting team.
Exciting team. They're 24-13. So yes, they have a lot more losses than the other teams in the top 5, but they are the hottest team in the NBA right now.
Smoking.
10 straight games that they've won. And a crazy stat, obviously with Iguodala back there playing better, but they lead the Pacific Division past January 1st for the first time since March 2nd, 1992.
Oh, wow.
And back
What's
then,
that, Run TMC?
Tim Hardaway,
Chris
Mullen, Billy Owens,
Mitch Richmond,
Sprewell. So you're going back a long ways. So if they can just stay healthy and Mark Jackson can keep them rolling, he is my favorite coach. That's not obviously on the Blazer uniform or on the Blazer bench. I think he's great energy, great passion. But the main thing for him, he is knowledge. He has the knowledge playing that point guard position for so many years. So look forward to Golden State maybe creeping themselves up a little bit. Hopefully not taking over the Blazer spot for us here in the Northwest, but it definitely could be a realistic opportunity for them to take over with our injuries and us kind of slumping. What about the Golden State Warriors? How are they playing so well right now?
They're playing so well for one reason. I know it's Andre Iguodala. With him in the lineup, they are 10-1.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
So that's a huge stat right there. So it's a must to keep him healthy.
Right.
Also, for me, I look at Andrew Bogut.
He's been playing pretty good.
He's flying around right now. Many people forget that this guy was the number 1 pick in the draft.
Right.
So he's always had talent. He just been hit by the injury bug. Right now, I mean, these numbers you're not going to be like, whoa. He's averaging 8 points and 10 rebounds a game, which I think is pretty solid. And he's playing his role perfect for that team.
Yeah, kind of like a Robin Lopez. It's not going to stand out at you, but getting those 8 to 10 points and those 8 to 10 boards, that really adds up as the season progresses and moves forward.
Adds up a lot, and somebody got to do the dirty work. So salute to Andrew Bogut because you're Mr. Clean right now.
All right, and Splash Brothers, obviously they're playing well, so shout out to them. And we're going to move forward to number 2. The highest they've been in the top 5, the Miami Heat.
The Heatles.
Right, 27-8. The last 3 games they had, 110-94 against the Magic, which you should win. 102-97 against the Raptors.
Okay.
Up-and-coming team. It was a little bit closer than people thought. And then last night's game, 107-88 against the Pelicans. With Mr. Unibrow. Mr. Anthony Davis.
That's AD.
Right, but the Big Three is averaging 60 points per game. With LeBron at 25.5. Bosh and Wade are doing their role as well. Why is the Heat really clicking it into gear now?
For the Heat, they're resting Dwayne Wade,
right?
So he's not putting up fantastic Dwayne Wade numbers,
right?
But I think he's a little bit more healthy. Norris Cole is playing a larger role this year, and don't forget about Michael Beasley,
right?
Wow, what a pickup for the veterans minimum, and you got a guy like Beasley coming off the bench. I'm still waiting on the Greg Oden experiment. I guess we'll see that probably a little bit after the All-Star break. But the Heat, they on coast mode. You wake them up when the playoffs about to start.
Right, and it's kind of sad for the motivation for that team because the only team that they really have to worry about is Indiana. So, Greg Oden is almost brought in solely to foul Roy Hibbert and to put him out of his game. So we'll have to see if that works out for him. But shout out to the Heat. You're the champs for the reason. And you're back up there towards the top where you belong. And number 1, if you haven't already guessed it, we've already talked about them, is going to be the Indiana Pacers.
The Pacers.
The most consistent team in the NBA this year, 28-6. X Factor, I think, one of them is Lance Stevenson. He's been playing great, 13.4 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 5.1 assists. So it's very well-rounded. He does lose his cool from time to time, but I like the passion. You got to have passion.
You need a Lance Stevenson on your team.
Right, and all starting 5, just like at the beginning of the year, it hasn't changed. They're all in double-digit scoring. 70 points per game is what the starting 5 is averaging right now. Amazing stat. And obviously you got the catalyst, Paul George, the man with 2 first names, 22.9 points per game, leading the way, future All-Star, future maybe Kobe Bryant Jr. in the making. So why are the Pacers to you at the top where they probably belong?
As you mentioned, Lance Stevenson, that's my guy, a.k.a. Mr. Born Ready. He leads the league in triple-doubles. Yeah, he has 3 triple-doubles this year. He leads the league in triple-doubles. And also, I think what plagued them last year is their backup point guard role. They had DJ Augustine.
Right.
But this year they brought in C.J. Watson. So it's giving them a little more firepower off the bench, and also Luis Scola.
Yeah, the depth was really key. And I remember when we talked about it when it first happened, I knew that player would be a great fit because he's gritty. He likes to rebound. He likes to, get nasty, throw some elbows, get some boards, foul some people. And that's really what the Pacers need. They have a few tough players like David West and Lance Stevenson, but with another one off the bench, that it almost reminds me of the bad boys from the Pistons back in the day when they had Rodman and Sally and their whole crew. They're starting to kind of bring that mentality back to Indiana, that they are tough and they're not afraid of anyone.
Oh yeah, they're going to be a problem for the Heat. They ain't going nowhere. So it's going to be a battle. I think whoever get that home court advantage, that Game 7 on their floor, is going to be crucial.
I think so too. So that's our NBA Sports Fanatics. Obviously, top 5 in the rankings for this week. We'll actually shout you guys out with another ranking next week.
Before I go, I want to give a shout out to the NBA Players of the Week.
All right.
In the East, you wouldn't believe this.
Okay, who is the East player?
Mr. Thaddeus Young.
Oh, wow.
From the Philadelphia 76ers. He led the 76ers to a 3-0 record last week. He averaged 25 points and 7 rebounds for that young squad that they got out there. They do got to
beat the Blazers in one of those games too. So obviously, shout out to
Thaddeus. Great
Thaddeus.
game against the Blazers
right.
too. So they got a young squad. In the West, the player of the week is Mr. David Lee.
David Lee,
Wow.
Mr. Double-Double.
He's streaking. Well, that whole team is streaking right now.
Right.
He led them to a 4-0 record, 24 points, 10 rebounds, and watch out for Golden State, man. That team is scary.
Is he the most underrated power forward in the league?
By hands down.
I think so too, especially if you look at his scoring and his rebounding. I think the New York Knicks are probably wondering, what did we do?
And he's been doing it for years, so
right.
it ain't no fluke. He's been doing it for years. He's a walking double-double.
All right, well, that's it right here for Northwest Sports Fanatics NBA Top 5. Stay tuned next week. We'll come back at you with another rankings. Northwest Sports Fanatics.
Yeah.